Artificial intelligence, business opportunities with China, and stronger than expected economic growth. Just some of the topics Chinese Premier Li Qiang touched on in a speech before global business and political leaders at the World Economic Forum in Davos. He said the doors are expected to be even wider open for foreign investment.
这些年，我们对世界经济增长贡献率
China's contribution to global economic growth has remained at around 30%. Last year, the Chinese economy rebounded with an estimated growth of around 5.2%, beating the 5% target set at the beginning of the year.
GDP 的增幅在5.2%左右。
Li also touched upon the much-anticipated theme, artificial intelligence. He compared it to a double-edged sword. On the one hand, he said it could close the gap between high and low-income economies and boost opportunity. But he warned it could bring more division. He called for more governance.
中国人
China believes that technology must serve the common good of humanity. The same applies to artificial intelligence. It must be people-centered. Human beings must control the machines. AI must be guided in a direction that is conducive to the progress of humanity. So there should be a red line in AI development, a red line that mustn't be crossed.
This is the most high-profile Chinese delegation to attend Davos since 2017, and it was much anticipated by the decision-makers and the global economy shapers, many of whom were there at the speech, a speech that they seemed to like.
The Premier said is absolutely on point. I mean, if you think about pharmaceutical supply chain, it really is global in nature. Right? If you think back about past couple of years with the pandemic and the disruption within the global supply chain, it demonstrates more that we really need that globalization, that smoothing out of supply chain, as he mentioned.
Li's next stop is Ireland, where he will meet his counterpart and discuss enhancing China's relation with the European Union. Evangelos Ipsas for CGTN from Davos.
Okay, a closely watched and very important speech. Let's take a deeper dive into that from Davos and the speech by Premier Li. But for that, we are now joined by Mike Liu. Mike is Vice President, Senior Fellow at the Center for China and Globalization, here to discuss it all. Mike, welcome. Thanks very much for taking time to chat with us. I want to get
Thank you so much for having me, and it's great to be here.
Good. I want to get your thoughts on Li revealing that China exceeding its own expectations last year in terms of growth. What do you think the key drivers were to pushing above 5% to 5.2%?
I look at definitely that reflects very strong, commitment and mandate from a government, and also I look at the society having recultivate. And if you look at the domestic revenue from past National Day break, that has already achieved the similar momentum compared to before pandemic. So a number of things government have been put a lot of strategies, and it works now.
Yeah, China certainly took it upon itself to do things to ease the punishment brought on by the ongoing pandemic, giving financial breaks to small business, things of that nature. Do you think that is one thing that really helped China as much as anything?
Well, definitely that's a very critical strategy, and how to really help the society move out of the pandemic. And if you look at the life here, is everything become normal, and people are more receptive, really looking to the 2024.
Let's look beyond China's borders, because at that very important speech, Li saying that China is open for business, but reports indicating this is the first time China has been concerned about long-term investment since it really opened to foreign investment about 4 decades ago.
Well, I look at obviously Chinese economy is going through some transformation. So probably the government and society, we are moving away from those poverty-dependent, economy and heavy investment net projects, and we try to boost up the confidence in domestic consumption. If you look at the business transformation, definitely that requires some time to really see how we can end up with a much more stronger fundamentals.
Yeah, I think in many ways you're talking about the urbanization as China lifted hundreds of millions of people out of poverty over the last few decades. What do you think Premier Li's goal is with the appearance, however, at the WEF? Other key takeaways from this speech, such as tech exchanges, electric cars, which is doing very well at.
Well, I look at I was very impressed when Premier Li was talking about this China, the manufacturing capabilities and people talent. Definitely, China is playing a very important and critical advocating role in the global governance, and because the macroeconomic cooperation, industry cooperation, exchange of science technology, that will help not only China but the world to recover back from the pandemic.
And as we heard in the story leading into you, this is the highest level visit by a Chinese official to Davos since President Xi was there back in 2017. Let's take a look at global business. I mean, really, China has had such a major impact on keeping its foot on the accelerator for the global economy overall. What do you think the global reaction is from the business leaders, from the government leaders in Davos, and how important is that for the relationships going forward with China?
I look at, if you look at in the past 3 years, many things have been disconnected. And, there are many rumors or the war have been very frequent in the last couple of years. I think it is very critical for senior Chinese officials to meet those counterparts from other parts of the world and to have an in-person conversation. I look at those in-person conversations definitely bring back much more confidence. And as the Premier was saying, China definitely will continue to grow. And that will be very critical for multinationals to invest in China. And because China have these manufacturing capabilities, as well as, we have a very sophisticated supply chain system in the place.
Right. And
that's very critical for people to really understand some of those infrastructure in place.
And talking about that, the word that so often comes up when talking about either the EU or the United States is decoupling. Nobody wants any kind of decoupling right now. And we already heard that the Premier is going on to Ireland next. Tell us about his European agenda and how important you think this upcoming trip, the ongoing trip, is going to be.
Well, I look at, as you rightly said, many people are talking about different terms like decoupling, de-risking, so on and so forth. It is very critical for Chinese senior leaders to meet with those people to really look at how to look at from a global governance perspective, how to exchange ideas to promote a cooperation. Because by the end of the day, it is critical. The world is in a much critical conjunction to make sure everybody is on the same side of global issue and put hands together.
Okay, Mike, we can't thank you enough for coming on. We certainly appreciate your insight. It's been a very eventful few days already in Davos. We look forward to talking to you again down the road. Thanks, Michael.
Thank you so much.